Welcome back to the Geo Geek, where we break down the world's most complex geography and why it matters to every one of us. Think back to February 24th, 2022, the day Russia invaded Ukraine. Many of us watched the headlines, felt a pang of concern, and thought, that's terrible, but it's over there. Today, I'm here to tell you why that mindset is one of the most dangerous things we can hold onto in 2026. Because right now, conflicts aren't isolated. They're connected like falling dominoes, and some have already started tipping. In this video, we'll map it out step by step. From a narrow strait in the Middle East that controls 20% of the world's oil, to nuclear shadows in Europe, to the ticking clock over Taiwan. By the end, you'll see the bigger picture, not to scare you, but to inform you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Let's dive in. The world in 2026 is not in a normal moment in history. Multiple major conflicts are burning simultaneously. Russia's war in Ukraine, the brutal civil war in Sudan, ongoing fighting in Myanmar, insurgencies across the Sahel region of Africa, and escalating tensions in the Middle East. The Bulletin of the atomic scientists, the same group that created the Doomsday Clock during the Cold War, set it to 85 seconds to midnight in January 2026. That's the closest it's ever been. For comparison, during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, the most dangerous nuclear standoff of the Cold War, it was at 7 minutes to midnight. Today, we're closer to catastrophe than at any point then. World military spending hit a record $2.718 trillion in 2024, jumping 9.4% in a single year, the steepest rise since the Cold War ended. Every one of the top 15 military spenders increased their budgets at the same time. Countries don't do that when they feel safe. Something bigger is shifting, and it starts with geography. Let's start with the first domino, the Strait of Hormuz. Most people have never heard of it, but this narrow stretch of water between Iran and Oman is arguably the most consequential piece of geography on Earth right now. At its narrowest, it's just 21 miles wide, practically swimmable. Yet, roughly 20% of the world's oil, about 20 million barrels per day, passes through it. That's the lifeblood of the global economy. India gets around 60% of its energy imports via this route. China about 40%. Japan a staggering 75%. Japanese leaders have warned publicly, if the strait closes for an extended period, Japan's economy could collapse within 8 to 9 months. As of March 2026, shipping traffic through Hormuz has plummeted. Pre-conflict averages were over 138 vessels per day. Now, it's down to a tiny fraction, sometimes just 4-6 vessels openly transiting in a day, with many requiring Iranian approval and others avoiding it entirely due to attacks and risks. War risk insurance has skyrocketed. Brent crude oil has surged, recently trading above $110 per barrel in recent weeks amid the disruptions. Natural gas prices in Europe have climbed sharply too. Fertilizer prices, critical for growing food, are also up significantly. This isn't just a foreign policy issue. It's already hitting grocery bills, fuel costs, and heating bills worldwide. And here's the deeper connection most people miss. The Gulf countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain import 80–90% of their food. Kuwait gets 90% of its drinking water from desalination plants. Saudi Arabia around 70%. Across the region, hundreds of desalination plants supply water to over 100 million people. Any disruption to energy or direct strikes on infrastructure here creates a cascading humanitarian and economic crisis. One side produces cheap drones by the thousands. Defending against them is expensive. The math favors disruption at scale. Step 2 is the nuclear question. Many assume no one would actually use them, but look at the signals. Russia's doctrine of escalate to de-escalate means that if they face severe conventional losses, they might use tactical nuclear weapons to force negotiations, not to win outright, but to stop the fight on their terms. In 2025, Ukraine struck Russian strategic assets near nuclear sites. France and the UK coordinated nuclear signaling. The US deployed nuclear submarines in response to provocations. North Korea has sent thousands of troops, as the reports suggest around 11,000 by early 2026, and engineers to support Russia and Ukraine, in exchange for technology, fuel, and food. They've tested hypersonics and nuclear subs. The US intelligence community's assessments highlight the real risk of miscalculation, leading to direct hostilities or nuclear exchange. Communication between nuclear powers is at a low point. That's not fear-mongering. It's the math of escalation when trust erodes and proxies multiply. While the Middle East and Europe burn, China watches and prepares. The Pentagon's reports have noted China's goal to be capable of fighting and winning a Taiwan conflict by the end of 2027. In 2025, Chinese aircraft conducted record numbers of incursions into Taiwan's air defense zone, over 3,700 in 1 year. Beijing staged major military exercises around the island, including large-scale drills in December 2025 with live fire, blockading simulations, and advanced naval assets. The U.S. approved record arms sales to Taiwan. Taiwan is boosting its own defense budget. Japan, historically pacifist, is debating self-defense triggers for a Taiwan conflict and has positioned missiles close to the island. If Taiwan falls or faces a successful blockade, the global semiconductor supply chain, as Taiwan produces a huge share of advanced chips, could be devastated. Allies in the region would recalculate everything. The balance of power in the Pacific would shift overnight. Why is everything happening at once? For 70-plus years, the world operated under a US-led system. The dollar as reserve currency, American military presence as enforcer, open sea lanes for trade. That system is now being challenged simultaneously. Russia in Europe, Iran and proxies in the Middle East, China in the Pacific. The US itself debates its global role. Countries are reacting. A record number of NATO members now meet or exceed 2% GDP on defense. Poland spends over 4%. Sweden dramatically increased spending after decades of neutrality. This isn't random. It's nations hedging against uncertainty in a fragmenting order. So what comes next? Here's the likely chain. Number 1. Energy shock already happening. Oil over $100 plus, gas and fertilizer spikes feeding into everything. Number 2. Food insecurity. Over 670 million people faced hunger before these latest disruptions. The World Food Program has warned of a dual chokepoint crisis, affecting supply chains far beyond the conflict zones. Number 3. Regional expansion, more proxies activate. Energy-dependent nations, Japan, South Korea, India, face pressure to secure routes. Number 4. Economic contagion, Gulf sovereign wealth funds, big investors in global markets could face pressure. Stock markets, retirement accounts, they feel it. Number 5. The nuclear shadow, miscalculation risk, rises with degraded communications and multiple flashpoints. Wars rarely start because leaders want them. They start when dominoes fall faster than diplomats can stop them. This isn't about panic. It's about clarity. The people managing these crises mostly don't want full escalation, but the machinery of conflict has its own logic once chokepoints close and infrastructure is hit. Watch the Strait of Hormuz. Watch Taiwan. Watch your grocery and energy bills. Pay attention to which leaders speak plainly about risks versus those who don't. At the GeoGeek, we believe informed citizens make better societies. If this video helped you connect the dots, please like, subscribe, and share it. Drop a comment. Which domino concerns you most? I've linked sources and further reading in the description. Stay curious, stay informed. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one, where we'll keep mapping the world that actually exists.